I grew up out in the woods up in Bluff Creek, Louisiana. I was the oldest of 4 kids. My mom taught school. My dad had a good job at the mill. They made good money, but Dad believed in saving every penny. And everything that was made went towards buying either cows or property. If you'd have just saw us, you'd have thought, man, they're poor as church mice. And yet, here, Dad, over the years, is accumulating property, and cattle and everything, and is doing quite well. And Mom, being a teacher at the time in the early 60s, that was incredible. My dad was a rough man. He was very hard on us. Anyone would tell you it was a hard upbringing. When it came to stuff like holidays, every year we'd get the axe, put it in a pickup truck, ride into one of our properties or down the gravel road and get out and just start through the woods and find a tree to cut down to bring back, and that was our Christmas tree. Would never dream of spending money on a tree. They look more like Charlie Brown trees. Mom was an artist at being able to take a little thin wire and branches we'd taken off another tree and be able to weave those in there to kind of make it, by the time you got everything on it, it covered up most of it. But what enjoyment every year my dad had. We all considered it his thing. My aunt, his sister, came to our church, I guess when I was about 10, as our music director, and stayed there for about 40 years, long after I'd gone. When she came, Dad started a practice of going Christmas caroling with us every year. And he would load us up. He had one of those old, in the 70s, those big vans. It'd hold 20 people if you crammed them right. And Aunt Patty and my 2 cousins and the 4 of us, my mom and dad, would get in the van and would go to 6 or 8 of the oldest people in the community. Some were shut in and didn't get to go to church anymore. But we all knew them, Dad knew them. We would get out at the house, we'd go up to the front door, we'd get in our little group and we'd sing 3 or 4 songs, finish with "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," pile back in the van and on to the next house. And it was a full evening of caroling from house to house. And I remember that was one of the few things where I remember my dad just smiled, grinned from ear to ear the whole time. I remember thinking, boy, this, probably means something to these people. And I think it did. But as I got older, I realized it probably meant as much to my father. In a way, it was his chance to put us in front of the world and show us off to these folks that hadn't seen us in a while or whatever, catch up on. And I remember as we got older, high school and then college, it's like, oh, not again, but you don't say no. As we got married, had children of our own, we just added more vehicles, because now my brother and his wife and kids and my wife and kids and my other brother's wife and kids and some of the parents of the spouses, and it was like crazy. And it might be 5 or 6 vehicles loaded to the T, and all these little ones just spill out. And I can remember Dad just grinning from ear to ear at this whole brood stretched out. As I'm older, I understand how proud they were, how proud he was in seeing the family together doing this. Afterwards, we'd go back to our house and eat gumbo and hang out all evening. So it was another holiday. it was family. When Dad passed in 2019, nobody mentioned it because he died between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And nobody mentioned caroling for 2 years. And then one day my mom made a comment. I didn't realize until that point that I think it was one of her favorite things, that she enjoyed seeing how happy he was. So I became the bad guy. I got the whip and I started saying, okay, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going, trying to get everything. Oh, the muttering, the grumbling and everything, got to do this. 2 years after Dad passed, we started back. And maybe it wasn't until that point, when it's my kids and my grandkids, that I realized, wow, this is special. I'm pretty certain that they don't appreciate it now. I hope that one day they will. I know my mom, it just means the world to her. We now no longer do it out in the country. We do it here in Central. And it's folks that my mom knows and grew up with. And it's just kind of a chance to once a year pop in and say, hey, how are you? The children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren have to bear, but I think it means the world to those older folks, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I look forward to it every year more than ever before.